Part 133. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1330. In fact, everyone will say the truth, but Zhuangjia is wronged and sad now. She is crying and helpless. What she needs is someone to share her hatred with her. After she finished crying and vented, she calmed down and thought about it carefully. There was some reason, she might not know it herself. So Zhang Xinyuan instructed Wang Zilong to act in a play with him. It's just that the performance is not very satisfactory. Did I tell you about fish? Did I say about bears? What I said is that a person's ability is only as good as it is in the past. If there is strength, there must be weakness. If you record strengths and make up for weaknesses, there will be no use in the world. Human beings who blame the weak and abandon the strong, there will be no one in the world who will never abandon them. If there are love and hate, and interests have similarities and differences, if the sage is like Yizhou, and the virtuous is like Mo Yang, if you ask for opinions, how can you avoid ridicule? I can't memorize it. Wang Zilong looked bitter. I haven't even finished high school, isn't it difficult for me? Strictly speaking, I did not finish my studies, and my uncle sent me to a military management school for training in the middle of my studies. I know you can't memorize it, so I explained it to you twice, right? Zhang Xinyuan asked him. Twice, even if you can't remember the whole text, at least you have to remember a few key words, right? If a person has strengths, he must also have weaknesses. Have you said this? To learn from each other's strengths, you can't give up your strengths because of your weaknesses. You didn't mention this, right? Wang Zilong said in a low voice. I think I mentioned it. Zhang Xinyuan sneered. Well, you mentioned it, and it will become in your mouth. If you like thick fur on bears, you can't be afraid of the hair sticking your hands. The meaning is almost enough. Wang Zilong turned his face away in embarrassment. Zhang Xinyuan was silent for a while, and said, you were drunk last night, and you talked a lot drunk when you got home. Huh? Wang Zilong was startled, and turned to look at her. What did I say? Zhang Xinyuan smiled and said, tell me, brothers, you don't know. I thought I found myself a wife before, but now I realize that I found myself a head teacher. Wang Zilong. After a while, the desire to survive struggled strongly. It's just a joke on the wine table, don't take it seriously. Zhang Xinyuan's smile was very gentle. Look, I like that you are sunny and cheerful, and you have a wide range of friends, so you and your friends go out drinking and hanging out, and you drink until midnight. I never blame you, right? Wang Zilong nodded honestly. I like that you are enthusiastic and positive about life and live your true self, so you occasionally make impulsive mistakes, lack rational thinking, and don't know how to cater. I never blame you, right? Wang Zilong nodded again. This is what it means that if you have strengths, you must have weaknesses. Zhang Xinyuan looked at him encouragingly. So, what do you think you should do? Wang Zilong suddenly wanted to cry, and answered with his head bowed. Jinuanhui has a heart, is knowledgeable and reasonable, and sometimes he preaches to help me and improve me. I shouldn't focus on the small shortcomings and ignore the big ones' advantages. I should cherish happiness. Very good. Zhang Xinyuan smiled, leaned in and kissed him on the cheek. One reward. Call. Wang Zilong, who received the award, felt a little more comfortable, and turned the other side of his face. Scientific research has proved that kissing only one side of the face for a long time will lead to asymmetrical faces on both sides. Young poor Zhang Xinyuan pushed him up. Go back quickly and bring me a change of clothes, as well as my papers and materials. Bring them all here. Wang Zilong asked, you really live here? Stay here for a couple of days to see what's going on. In case she cries again, at least there is a paper hander by my side. Okay. Wang Zilong resentfully said, I'll have to have a good chat with Inspector Yu later. Unharmonious love affects the harmonious development of society. They will solve their own affairs, don't interfere. Oh. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1331. Zhuangjia stayed at home for a day. I didn't do anything, I fell asleep, I was in a daze, and I sat on the sofa after eating and didn't move for a long time, my mind was too empty. Get up as usual the next day, dress up, and go to work. Do you not rest for a few days? Zhang Xinyuan asked. Zhuangjia shook her head. My mother asked me to pay more attention to the company's affairs when she left. I didn't go there yesterday afternoon. I have accumulated a lot of things. I have to go and deal with them today. All right then, Zhang Xinyuan said, I'll go find you after you get off work, and we'll go shopping together. I'm not in the mood. Zhuangjia walked to the entrance and slowly changed her shoes. You go home, don't delay your graduation thesis just because you accompany me, I don't want to do anything now. Zhang Xinyuan replied, it's okay, I brought my computer anyway, so I can write here as well. Zhuangjia was silent for a moment, and said, I think you should go home, although I'm glad you and Wang Zilong can come to accompany me, but I don't want to eat your dog food. Zhang Xinyuan. After being speechless for a while, Zhang Xinyuan said, then you can just eat more, and eating enough will help you regain your confidence in love. Zhuangjia opened the door and walked out, waving her hands with her back to Zhang Xinyuan, I have indigestion recently. After closing the door, the sound of high heels stepping on the floor gradually faded away. Zhang Xinyuan in the room smiled, and said with a broken smile, he has no conscience. After laughing, thinking of Zhuangjia's poor and bumpy relationship, he couldn't help shaking his head and sighing. In the company, when there is something to do, time always passes very quickly, and people are relatively calm. And when there is nothing to do, the many things and thoughts that are pressed in her heart will crawl out one by one like bugs in the dark corners, occupying her heart, or gnawing at her until it hurts, or the buzzing annoyed her. Zhuangjia sat at the desk, unknowingly dazed for a while. After regaining his senses, he was also stunned, completely unable to remember how long his brain was blank just now. She pressed the phone button on the table and asked the assistant, Lisa, is there anyone looking for me? No, don't you need to make an appointment in advance to see you? The assistant asked her uncertainly on the phone, who did you make an appointment with today? Zhuangjia said, no, I'll just ask. Really don't need it? You've already asked me 3 times today. No need. Zhuangjia was inexplicably irritable and cut off the call. She didn't want to see anyone. She wasn't looking forward to it. No. He casually grabbed the waist design draft at hand, squeezed it into a ball of paper, and threw it out viciously like venting. He clearly warned himself not to think about it, but his thoughts were tangled and uncontrollable. Will he still remember her in the future? He could remember Tang Lin's Huang for more than 10 years, what about her? How long will he remember? Will she be forgotten in a blink of an eye? Thinking of this, Zhuangjia would burst into tears, his heart would be clenched, and he couldn't breathe. This taste is too uncomfortable. Love is an addictive opium. If you lose it suddenly, you will suffer a lot when you can't stand it, you even want to let go of all your hypocrisy and self-esteem, and call him to beg for mercy. Even if Shenzhenru called her worthless, she would admit it. But when she really picked up the phone, she became more rational and began to hesitate. Zhuangjia, don't let yourself live like a beggar. At 4 o'clock, still some time before get off work, Zhuangjia just finished a meeting and returned to the office. Before entering the office, the assistant outside gave her a very bright smile. Zhuangjia just felt baffled. She was in a bad mood, and even if others greeted her with a smile, she didn't have the energy to respond. However, when he walked into the office, he found Yu Yang sitting in it. Why are you here? Zhuangjia was shocked, and after 2 seconds, she belatedly asked, "How did you get in?" "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1332. If every company can allow people to walk unimpeded, it would be too much of a security risk. Not to mention the security guard downstairs in the building, the access control at the entrance of the company, at least the assistant lady sitting in front of her office. Why don't you stop her? There are still a lot of data maps of next season's new product designs in her office. It's all commercial secrets. Yu Yang turned around, looked at her lightly, and said, "I showed my ID." Zhuangjia. "Yes, you are amazing, Mr. Prosecutor." Zhuangjia walked to the desk and sat down step by step with a straight face, threw the meeting documents aside, and asked coldly, "What do you want?" "When I can't see him, I miss him so much that my heart hurts, but now I see him, but I don't want to give him a good face." It seemed that as long as his attitude was slightly better, he would lose confidence in front of him. And she doesn't want to lose. Yu Yang didn't immediately explain why he came, but just glanced lightly at the desk, and his eyes fell on the white paper towels. "Have you been crying for a long time?" he said. Zhuangjia bit her lip, and angrily threw the paper towels on the table into the waste basket. "No, these are paper to wipe your nose." "Have you caught a cold?" Knowing that she was lying, Yu Yang asked unhurriedly, "What kind of medicine did you take?" "There are many kinds of colds, so don't just buy a box of medicine and take it randomly." The words of concern sounded particularly ironic at the moment. She bit her lip and turned her face away, and replied bluntly, "You don't need to worry about it." In the office, there was silence. Neither of them spoke. Zhuangjia was holding her breath, but Yu Yang didn't know what he was thinking. In this silent space, Zhuangjia's peripheral vision slowly moved to him. The beard is shaved, the hair is neat, the shirt is as white as brand new, and his coat and scarf are wrapped around his arms. Scarf. The scarf was her Christmas present for him. The tip of her nose was inexplicably sour, and her tears were surging. She clutched her fingers tightly, trying to suppress this untimely emotion. At this time, Yu Yang said, "Jia, let's talk." Zhuangjia said in a perfunctory tone, "What's there to talk about? After you said those words yesterday, you walked too fast and didn't give me a chance to explain." "I think it's unfair to me," Yu Yang said. "We should sit down and talk calmly. After the talk, no matter whatever the result, I will respect your decision." Zhuangjia frowned. "Wang Zilong also said yesterday that we should talk about it, and talk about it clearly." She bit her lip and said a few words in a muffled voice, "Then let's talk." "It's not suitable here," Yu Yang said. "After all, it's where you work. If you get angry or cry when you talk about something, it won't affect you well. Let's go out and talk." Yu Yang always made her unable to refuse. As if she had figured out all her thoughts, she took the dominant position in a few words. Zhuangjia really didn't have much confidence. She was very emotionally leaky, she was very prone to crying, and she was also very afraid of losing face. If people in the company saw her crying, she would feel ashamed to come to work again. "Where shall we talk then?" she asked. Yu Yang raised his hand and glanced at his watch, and said lightly, "It's past 4 o'clock, let's find a place to eat and chat while eating. If we really break up, it will be the Last Supper." The Last Supper. This word made Zhuangjia slightly hurt, and his whole heart was filled with sadness. She nodded silently. Picking up her bag and following him downstairs, she got into the car and saw the Sunny doll hanging on his car key, and her heart throbbed again. Not wanting to look any further, I looked away from the car window. Yu Yang was still driving very slowly, and the traffic was congested. They stopped and stopped in the bustling traffic, and the extended road seemed to have no end. Time passed by, and the sky gradually darkened, but still did not reach the destination. Zhuangjie remembered that it was about 4:30 when he left, and now it was almost 7 o'clock in the evening. The scenery on both sides became more and more desolate, and the shadow of the city could hardly be seen. She couldn't help being nervous. Yu Yang, where are you taking me? There are 4 updates every day, and the fixed update time is 11-12 p.m. Considering that some readers go to bed early, if I write it in advance, I will post it in advance. If one day I procrastinate, less, or stop updating, there are only 2 reasons: either I don't have time, or I don't have inspiration. It's definitely not intentional to whet your appetite. I hope everyone understands. Blessed to have each other in this life. Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1333. Yu Yang glanced at the rearview mirror and said, "It's almost here." After hearing this, Zhuangjie could only hold back her impetuousness and continue to wait. I can't help but wonder in my heart, what kind of restaurant can there be in such a desolate place? After driving forward for about half an hour, I came to a brightly lit section of the road, which was relatively lively. There were many shops scattered high and low on both sides of the road, most of which were car maintenance, hotels, convenience stores, etc. This place is specially designed to provide midway supplies and rest for those who drive long distances. One can imagine how far Yu Yang has driven. Zhuangjie silently checked the map on the phone. If Qingjiang City is compared to a square, then they are equivalent to crossing diagonally from one corner of the city to the other corner, and they have also crossed a long way. It's just for a meal. Is it necessary to travel so far? Even though he knew he had the habit of searching for restaurants, Zhuangjie couldn't help muttering. Yu Yang parked the car, led her into an unremarkable noodle restaurant, and replied, "It's better to stay far away. If this is the last time we meet, at least I can see you for a while longer." Zhuangjie was silent for a moment. He showed reluctance, and she was delighted, but he said that the last time he met, his mood was low and empty. His heart was hooked by his words. It was extremely uncomfortable. After entering the noodle shop, they chose an empty table to sit down. The place is not big, but it was cleaned up very cleanly, in line with Yu Yang's taste. The boss brought over 2 bowls of beef noodles and a small dish of pickles. Yu Yang wiped the disposable bamboo chopsticks, stirred a bowl of noodles a few times, and handed it to her. "Eat quickly, although I chose this place to stay with you for a while, but the people here, the noodles taste really good." Seeing that he still remembered his habits, Zhuangjie felt inexplicably sad. "It's ready," she said. Yu Yang looked at her. She pursed her lips, slowly picked up the noodles in the bowl, and said in a low voice, "I don't need to check my food now, and I'm not afraid of eyeballs in the bowl." That psychiatrist has an ambiguous relationship with Miss Ma, was beaten up by Ms. Ma's husband, just happened to be seen by me, and then recovered from illness. Yu Yang smiled lightly. "What about the heterophobia, is it okay? Even if you separate from me, you don't have to worry about not being able to get along with other men, do you?" He said this in a very gentle tone, but Zhuangjie found it extremely harsh. "I never thought about it that way." She lowered her head and stirred the noodles. Yu Yang said lightly, "Maybe, I'm too old to guess what the young girl is thinking." Zhuangjie froze for a moment, her hand holding the chopsticks froze. He was really angry. Also, who can have no temper? Yu Yang used to be calm because he was good at managing emotions, but it didn't mean he had no emotions. Zhuangjie was upset. Obviously he was wrong. Why now it seems that she has become a heartbreaker playing with feelings, and he is an innocent and pitiful victim? Which is really weird. Seeing that she was frozen and not moving, Yu Yang sighed softly and said, Eat quickly, it won't taste good when it's cold. Zhuangjie came back to her senses, without being pretentious, and ate noodles in silence. After sitting in the car for so long, I am really hungry. For the next time, the two of them didn't speak, they ate in silence until they finished eating. Zhuangjie raised her head and started to look at Yang squarely. Now, their affairs can be discussed. Boss, pay the bill. Yang waved to the boss. Zhuangjie was stunned for a moment, then blinked. No. Don't you want to talk about something? Let's talk about it in the car. Yang said, it will take more than 2 hours on the way back. Going home too late will affect your rest. What he said made sense. Zhuangjie had to get up early tomorrow, so he really shouldn't go to bed too late, and it was not safe to drive late at night. She nodded understandingly and followed him into the car. Yang lowered the seat and played a soothing music. The car shook slightly, and the speed was gentle. After a while, Zhuangjie fell asleep. I'm going to sleep too. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1334. When I woke up, the car had stopped. Zhuangjie opened her eyes and felt that the surrounding scenery was familiar. After observing for a while, she found that this was a small road outside the courtyard wall of her community. It was 11:30 at night. Zhuangjie was silent, she fell asleep all the way. In the cold season, nestling in a warm and closed environment after eating, coupled with soothing music, it is really easy to fall asleep. Seeing that she was awake, Yang said, go in quickly, go to bed early, don't lie on the bed and play with your phone all the time, it hurts your eyes. He was as gentle and considerate as ever, but his tone was indifferent and distant, and Zhuangjie couldn't figure out what he was thinking. He got out of the car in a daze, and couldn't help hesitating. Today, I haven't talked about anything yet, so what about the breakup? She subconsciously looked back at him. Yang seemed to know what she was going to ask, and said lightly, I'm tired today. Also, driving for such a long time is very tiring, and he has always been used to going to bed at 10 o'clock, so he must be very tired now. Zhuangjie felt that what he said was reasonable, so she didn't say anything else, got out of the car slowly, and walked into the community. After returning home, she couldn't help but go to the window and look out, wanting to see if he was gone, but it was difficult to see clearly through the landscape flowers and trees in the garden of the community, and the light was dim. The mood is lost. She has no concentration and soft ears, so she can easily be coaxed into ecstasy, but obviously, Yang has no intention of coaxing her. Yang's first impression is cold, and the word cold is usually associated with AO. Because under the indifferent face, there is often a proud heart. It is precisely because of arrogance that many things are disdainful, disdainful to say, disdainful to do. Always calm, while handling everything in an orderly manner, it will also give people a sense of indifference and alienation. It is difficult for such a person to bow his head. Zhuangjie was a little disappointed, she was not the one who made him make an exception. She also understands that this loss is a bit hypocritical, but isn't that what women are like? Once in love, hypocrisy will increase day by day. Obviously, I can climb upstairs with a bottle of water in one breath, but I will be angry because my boyfriend doesn't unscrew the bottle cap for me. Falling in love is probably a process of falling ill. The next day, at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Yang came to the company to find Zhuangjie. It is reasonable to continue today's talks that failed yesterday. Why go so far on purpose? Because he hopes to stay with you for a while in the last time. Why didn't you communicate well during the meal? Because the hot pot restaurant is very noisy, I almost have to roar to hear clearly. Why didn't you continue to communicate on the way home? Because he said it would be dangerous to talk distractedly while driving late at night. Well, makes sense. Since she can't chat, Let's go to sleep, she just happens to be sleepy too. Opening his eyes and arriving home again, Yu Yang said, take a shower as soon as you get home, the smell is quite strong. She smelled like hot pot all over her body. I lowered my head and sniffed my hair silently. The sweet and floral fragrance of the shampoo was gone, only the compound smells of fresh cut lamb, garlic, sesame oil, chives, coriander, and peppercorns remained, lingering and rippling for a long time. It was absolutely unbearable. Zhuangjie didn't even bother to say goodbye, and hurried home to take a shower. Then, it was the third day. On the afternoon of the third day, the assistant walked into her office, handed the document to her, and said with a smile, Miss Shirley knows that you have dinner with your boyfriend every day, so she specially moved the regular meeting time forward by half an hour. That's very considerate. Zhuangjie was stunned for a moment, then sat alone in the office and stared for a long time. Yes, this way of eating is different from before we broke up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1335. Love has lowered her IQ, but not so low as to be mentally retarded. Zhuangjie deeply felt the embarrassment of being fooled. The embarrassment is that she was fooled, the annoyance is that no matter whether they break up or get back together, Yu Yang has no sincerity. This is the most annoying place. When a woman thinks that a matter is very important and cannot be solved without solving it, a man wants to make a big problem into a small one and make it small. She was so angry that she broke up. Yu Yang actually thought that a few meals could numb her and fool her. How annoying. She took out a small makeup mirror from her bag, looked at herself in the mirror seriously, and asked, do I look easy to deceive? Do I have no IQ in his eyes? The answer can be daunting. Zhuangjie pressed the phone button on the table and told the assistant, Lisa, I don't see anyone today, do you understand? Every Friday afternoon, the company will have a regular meeting, and the heads of various departments will report on the work content of the week and the problems encountered. During the meeting, the assistant Lisa knocked on the door and came in, standing at the door with an unnatural expression, Ms. Janie, Mr. Yu is looking for you. Shenzhen Ru's company follows the route of foreign companies, and most of them call each other by English names internally. Janie is Zhuangjie's English name. After Lisa finished speaking, everyone in the conference room looked at Zhuangjie. Zhuangjie's face was extremely ugly. Didn't I tell you that I'm very busy today, so I won't see anyone? Lisa said awkwardly, I told Mr. Yu, but Mr. Yu said, please return the house key to him, otherwise he won't be able to go home. Zhuangjie. The expressions of everyone suddenly became colorful. Zhuangjie took a deep breath, stood up slowly, and tried to calm herself. Shirley will continue to chair the meeting. After the meeting, please send the weekly report to my mailbox. After explaining a few words, she returned to the office with a dark face, and she saw Yu Yang sitting inside. Zhuangjie ignored him, walked around the desk and sat down, rummaged through her bag for a while, took out a house key, and slapped it on the table. The loud sound the key made when it collided with the table showed that she was also very annoyed at the moment. Yu Yang didn't care too much, took back his key, and glanced at her, thank you, I kept it very well, I thought you had already thrown it away. Zhuangjie choked. The key was given to her by Yu Yang before. At that time, she always went to the procuratorate to wait for him to get off work. Yu Yang was afraid that she would be bored, so he asked her to wait at his house. He also said that the internet speed at home is fast, and watching cartoons will not freeze. Now that he said that, it seemed that she attached great importance to his things. It's been in the bag all the time, I've forgotten it a long time ago. Zhuangjia stubbornly proved that she didn't have unrequited love for him. With a calm expression, Yu Yang asked, let's have dinner together after get off work. No, Zhuangjia refused, the place to eat is too far away. Yu Yang's expression didn't change at all, and he said calmly, then go to a place closer. Do you think I will still trust you? Going to a messy restaurant is still out of the question. Zhuangjia was almost cursing in her heart, but she just curled her lips and said indifferently, I don't eat hot pot, I don't eat barbecue, and I don't eat strong flavors. Okay, yes, Yu Yang nodded. He was so easy to talk, but Zhuangjia became inexplicably irritable. She feels that Yu Yang now is like a round and smooth glass bead. It looks clear and clear, but in fact, it is full of refraction of various lights and illusions that blind the vision. There is no crack in the handle, and there is no flaw in it. I'm very busy today, and I'll get off work late, she said stiffly. Yu Yang said, it's okay, I can wait. If you like to wait, just wait. Zhuangjia dropped a sentence and walked away upset. She came out of the office, hid in the bathroom, looked at herself in the mirror, a bit like a soldier who had lost a battle. Her face was full of negativity and confusion. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1336. For the next few hours, Zhuangjia spent time with work. After dealing with the large and small affairs, and then draw the design draft, this kind of work can be done forever, because the constant modification, constant repair, painting, and changing the color scheme is another new plan. Keep improving, can be endless. His mind was not idle, he looked out of the floor-to-ceiling windows from time to time. The sky was getting dark. Is he still waiting outside? To be honest, Zhuangjia really didn't want him to be happy. Maybe it's a little unreasonable, but, she is sad and full of depression here, and he is calm as if he has a well-thought-out plan. She is either angry or unhappy. Maybe this is throwing fire. Well, she was throwing fire at him. When it was 8 o'clock, Zhuangjia ate a bowl of instant noodles, trying to fill his stomach, and refused Yu Yang's invitation for dinner. But what if someone gets impatient and has already left? I clearly want to see him in my heart, why bother? Why are relationships like this? She fell into a mood of self-loathing, hurriedly packed up her things and left work, with a kind of smashing mentality, whatever, do whatever you like. After going downstairs, he saw Yu Yang's car parked by the side of the road from a distance. In fact, no matter the color or the model of his car, it is a stable and majestic style, reserved and unassuming, but she can recognize it at a glance, which is simply unscientific. Zhuangjia stood on the side of the road, looking at the shadow of the car opposite, hesitating and tangled. Don't want to go. It seemed that as long as it passed, she would be controlled by him again when she got into his car, and the so-called breakup became a joke and a trouble she thought she was alone in. While hesitating, a bright red sports car whizzed up and barely stopped in front of her. The young boy inside waved his hand in greeting. Hey, Janie, are you waiting for someone? This person is a contracted male model in her mother's company. He is young, loves to play, and his family is very rich. He came out to be a model purely for fun, just for fun. When he first joined the company, he had pursued Zhuangjia, but he had no patience. After a few days of chasing Zhuangjia, he did not waver, so he changed his target. Zhuangjia has a pretty good relationship with him, but it's a bit embarrassing to meet him now. She looked across the road and replied, no. I'm not waiting for anyone. The boy was very enthusiastic, and patted the seat beside him. Go, get in the car. I'll take you where you want to go. Zhuangjia got into the car in a daze. The whole person was in a very strange state of mind, and there was clearly a voice in his mind shouting, don't ride in another man's car in front of him. But she still stepped out, opened the car door, and sat in the bright red sports car that leaked out of anger. She felt like she was hanging on a wire. Extremely apprehensive, extremely panicked, and extremely exciting. She is really looking for excitement. When she lowered her head to fasten her seat belt, Zhuangjie thought silently, he must have seen it, right? How is he feeling now? How will he react? Will he be disappointed in me, turn his head away in anger, and never come to me again? Thinking of this, I felt sour and began to regret. It's really no work no die, what should I do? She wants to get out of the car now. My mind was in a mess, and suddenly there was a bang. The whole car trembled, and even Zhuangjie's buttocks shook. What happened? She was stunned. The boy beside her reacted faster than her, and immediately realized that her car had been hit by someone. He swears, unbuckled his seat belt and got out of the car. Zhuangjie also got out of the car quickly. The rear of the sports car was hit hard by Yu Yang's front. After all, it was not a car driving at high speed on the road, and the collision was not severe, only some scratches. Even so, it also made the car owner feel bad. My new paint, the young boy was furious, can you drive a car? Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1337. After a while, Yu Yang got out of the car. Zhuangjie stared at him blankly, unbelievable that Yu Yang would do such a thing. Isn't he the most calm and reserved? Isn't he the most rule-abiding? How could he hit someone else's car? Yu Yang didn't look at Zhuangjie, walked over, glanced at the butt of the sports car calmly, then looked at the young male model, and said, "Sorry, I didn't mean it." This kind of apology is probably not accepted by anyone. Apology is useless. Zhuangjie's male model friend has a bad temper. He patted the car body heavily, and there was a bang. Do you know the model of my car? Do you know how much it costs? Let you hit me? I parked at you can also be hit by the side of the road. Did you deliberately aim at me? Zhuangjie was very embarrassed and very guilty. Of course she knew that there was an inevitable relationship between the sports car being hit and her getting into the car. She wanted to explain to the other party that she actually knew Yu Yang and was willing to compensate for the repair costs. However, before she could speak, Yu Yang took 2 steps closer, glanced at the sports car lightly, and asked, "Has your car been modified?" The male model froze for a moment, and then immediately retorted, "What nonsense are you talking about? This is a new type of sports car, so don't talk nonsense if you don't understand it. When you drove over, I already noticed that the sound of the sports car is very beautiful. If you want to make such a sound, you must have modified the exhaust." Yu Yang glanced at the car expressionlessly, as if he was picking on a tired toy. "Not only that, you also added a rear wing and lights. I guess you also installed a turbo, although the power has increased, but there is a problem with the matching performance of the gearbox, and this kind of car has not had any accidents after it has been driven, so you are lucky." His comments made the young male model feel ashamed and annoyed, and scolded with an ugly face, "Can you control me? I can play however I like. Who do you think you are?" Yu Yang smiled. It was a particularly contemptuous smile. Zhuangjie had never seen such an expression on his face, because he was always polite and would not embarrass others easily. These modifications are all illegal modifications, which violate the road safety and traffic law. You can wait for the traffic police to come and deal with it. Of course, you have money, so it doesn't matter how much the fine is. The tow truck of the traffic management office is towed away. Leave now, and you will only spend some money for touch-up paint, and when the traffic police arrive, you don't want to see what will happen to this car in the end," Yu Yang said lightly. The male model's face turned blue and then pale. Although he was extremely angry, he felt sorry for his beloved car, so he gritted his teeth and turned around and left. Before leaving, Remembering that he was wronged by being hit, he angrily said, "Crazy." The sports car sped away, and the engine hummed loudly. Zhuang Jie thought, is this the so-called sound of a sports car? She doesn't think it's pretty, she just thinks it's noisy. Yu Yang took her hand and opened the car door to let her in. Probably because she felt a little sorry, Zhuang Jie didn't fight against him again this time, and obediently sat in the co-pilot's seat. Yu Yang bypassed the front of the car, got into the car, started the car silently, and drove to the main road. Zhuang Jie looked at him silently. It's unbelievable to think that he hit someone's car and drove him away. Actually, I was going to get out of the car just now, she whispered, you shouldn't have bumped into me. I didn't do it on purpose, Yu Yang replied, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. Zhuang Jie didn't believe it, and muttered awkwardly, I didn't mean to cross the road and bump into it. When Yu Yang heard this, he sighed softly, held the steering wheel and parked the car on the side of the road, and then looked at her helplessly. It really wasn't intentional, I was driving there to pick you up, and I saw you getting in that car, I forgot to step on the brake for a moment. He looked away, looked at the steering wheel, and said in a low voice, I can't do that kind of dizzy thing. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1338. I drove on the road again, this time I didn't go too far, and went to the Japanese grocery store that the two of them had patronized before. Close to home, quiet environment, meeting all Zhuang Jie's requirements. The two sat facing each other, neither of them spoke first. What Zhuang Jie thought was, would it be offensive to suddenly mention his first love? Although she really minded that Yu Yang was always thinking about other women, but now she was asked to bring it up by herself, and she felt inexplicably hard to say it. What Yu Yang thought was, how to make Zhuang Jie give up the idea of breaking up. Last time she said that she was too busy at work, her life circle was too far apart, and she was too old. These reasons were really fatal, so he had to pay attention to them. Fortunately, the atmosphere today is good, as if two people at war with swords put down their weapons at the same time, entering the negotiation mode peacefully. Yu Yang remembered a joke shared by a colleague. Q, what's the difference between an angry girlfriend and a terrorist? A, terrorists can negotiate. So, does Zhuang Jie's meekness now mean that she is not so angry anymore? Ugh. Yu Yang sighed silently in his heart. He has never chased after a woman, and he has never deliberately coaxed any woman. These recent things make him feel powerless all the time. Is it true that, as she said, he is too old and the generation gap is too deep, so he can't figure out what these little girls are thinking? The two ate in silence, the topic was rambling, and they still couldn't get on the right track. Towards the end, Zhuang Jie's mother made an international long-distance call, asking if Zhuang Jie was in the company, and asked her to take a photo of a design drawing and send it to her. Shenzhenru was in a hurry, so Zhuang Jie had to return to the company. Yu Yang drove her back and asked, is there anyone else in the company? Zhuang Jie explained, someone should work overtime, but the blueprint is locked in the safe in my mother's office, and only my mother and I can open it in the whole company. If not, Zhuang Jie can order his assistant to run errands. Sometimes there is always a leak in the house and it rains overnight. When I rushed downstairs to the company, the whole building was pitch black. Only the emergency lights were on in the lobby on the first floor, and there were people in a mess. Zhuang Jie asked the security guard, only then did he know that the cable was faulty, and it is now being repaired urgently. There were anxious urging voices in the crowd, when will it be fixed? The manager's reply was very official, our maintenance personnel are doing their best to repair it, and we will definitely restore the building's power supply system as soon as possible. As for this as soon as possible, no one knows how fast it can be. What should I do? My mother is in a hurry to ask for it. Zhuangjia was in a hurry. Yu Yang said, go up the stairs. Zhuangjia stared at him with wide eyes. The company is on the 20th floor. It's not too high, you can see it as 4 5-story buildings. It takes about 3 minutes for ordinary people to climb 5-story buildings, and 12 minutes for 4 5-story buildings. With the break in between, 20 minutes should be enough. As Yu Yang said, he glanced at the direction of the elevator, and continued, besides, there are generally only 2 cases of cable failures. One is that it can be repaired quickly, and the other is that it will take at least several hours to repair. After hearing his words, Zhuangjia felt only despair. She looked down at her high heels, closed her eyes. Okay, go up the stairs. The two went to the stairwell, and when they were about to go upstairs, Zhuangjia supported the wall and took off his shoes silently. Yu Yang immediately understood what she meant, and raised his eyebrows disapprovingly. You took off your shoes, and there are only socks inside, and the light here is very dark. If you step on broken glass or other hard objects, you will be easily injured. Zhuangjia said discouragedly, there is no other way, I can't let me go upstairs on stilts. Yu Yang was silent for a while, took off his coat and put it on his arms, walked to Zhuangjia and squatted down. I'll carry you up. Zhuangjia. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1339. The corridor was very dark, and the emergency lights on the wall gave off dim light, so that everything in the field of vision was so unreal. Zhuangjia stood there without moving. Yu Yang waited for a while, but when there was no movement, he turned to look at her. What's wrong? Zhuangjia pursed her lips, and her voice was like a mosquito. The 20th floor. Well, I know, Yu Yang said, come up. Zhuangjia hesitated for a while, then slowly lay on his back and hugged his neck. He was wearing a thin cashmere sweater outside his shirt, which was very soft and warm, and he could feel the warmth through the fabric of the clothes, to the strong lines of the shoulders and back. Yu Yang walked up with her on his back, not in a hurry. The road ahead is hidden in the darkness, and the steps are one step after another, as if there is no end. Zhuangjia quietly lay on his back. Inexplicably, her heart suddenly felt firm and at ease, this feeling, as if the whole world disappeared, and only she and him were left, accompanying each other forever. Girls' minds are always sensitive and delicate, they are sad for some reason, and moved for some reason. Jia Jia, Yu Yang called out to her. Yu Yang said, it's a little itchy. Zhuangjia was stunned for a moment, but didn't react. Yu Yang said again, the breath you exhale penetrates into my neck, it's a little itchy. Zhuangjia's cheeks were slightly hot, she adjusted slightly, and pressed her face against his back. Yu Yang continued to walk up with her on his back. After a while, he said, last time you asked me why I like you. I didn't answer you. Actually, it was because I didn't think it through. I was afraid that the wording would make you misunderstand. Language is a very subjective thing. You express it, the meaning of it may not be the same as what others understand. Zhuangjia listened silently. The first thing that impressed me the most about you was the catfish case. At that time, I thought, this girl is incredible. She escaped from the murderer and got involved in a new murder case. My colleagues often talk about you, jokingly saying that you are our prosecutor's office mascot, who specializes in solving difficult and unsolved cases. Speaking of this, Yu Yang smiled slightly, maybe because of guilt. After all, I arrested you with my own hands, and I will pay more attention to you during that time. Seeing you crying, laughing, and losing your temper, I feel that you are very, how should I describe it, it probably feels very vibrant, even if you cry sadly, there seems to be a little sun shining on you above your head, bright and bright. Zhuangjie said sullenly, isn't it lively and cheerful? It's so refined. Maybe Yu Yang smiled, I feel very relaxed when I'm with you, a bit like basking in the sun. Zhuangjie. When I am a warm baby. After the case was over, although I didn't see you again, I thought of you occasionally. I'm not sure if I like it, I should have a good impression, but at that time I thought you were young and probably wouldn't be interested in public officials, so I didn't think about the relationship between men and women. Zhuangjie was surprised to hear that. She didn't expect Yu Yang to veto her so long ago. Really indifferent. Then why did you pursue me later? Her voice was imperceptibly delicate. Yu Yang said, the time I met you on a blind date in the restaurant, I was sure that I really had a crush on you. But you were so cold back then. You didn't contact me at all. Zhuangjie frowned and complained. She still remembered that Yu Yang called her to ask her if she was on a blind date, and then there was no news, and she hadn't contacted her for almost a month. Yu Yang heard the complaint in her tone, and couldn't help laughing. Miss, I also need to test it out. If I can't be sure of what you think in your heart, I can't stalk you and waste the time of the two of you. How can chasing girls be called a waste of time? Zhuangjie disagreed with Yang's point of view, curled her lips and said, maybe they like you to stalk you. That's because you like it? If you don't like it, you will feel extremely bored. Yu Yang paused, but I don't want to be bored by you.